Welcome, I'm glad you're here. I'm excited to share with you the art of relationships. It's how I went from 28 years in two marriages that ended in divorce to 15 years and counting in a partnership I didn't even know was possible for me. So it absolutely changed my life, and it has been such a joy to watch it change the lives of my clients also. So I'm going to share my screen so you can see the slide deck. Okay. Here we are, the art of relationships. There are 3 steps in the art of relationships. 3 big steps. The first is to turn down the internal noise that keeps you from knowing what's true for you. The second is to tune into your feelings and intuition. And the third is to trust yourself. So let's break those down. There's a lot of noise going on in our heads and our bodies that keeps us from knowing what's true for us. The first step in changing your relationships is changing what's going on in your head and your body. When it comes to your head, the noise in your head is overthinking. And overthinking is really any repeating negative thought pattern that doesn't serve you. You can remember, there are 6 kinds that I've identified as I work with clients, and you can remember them by the acronym BARROW. The first is bullying yourself. Most of us, if not all of us, have a core belief about ourselves that gets in the way of the relationship that we want to have. It may be that we think we're not enough, that we're too old, that we're unlovable, that there's some characteristic about us that precludes us creating a healthy, authentic relationship where we can feel seen and loved. We remind ourselves about that all the time. And we not only remind ourselves about it, but we also find a lot of evidence in the world around us to support it. So we have evidence confirming what we already believe about ourselves. We often think that we believe what we see, but the opposite is actually more true. We see what we already believe. This is a systematic error in the way your brain processes information. It's called confirmation bias. It means that you are programmed neurologically to pay attention to information that confirms what you already believe and ignore information that contradicts it. When you're aware that confirmation bias makes you focus on information that already confirms what you already believe, you can begin to question how you're interpreting what you see around you. A third kind of overthinking that is really common in relationships is reading minds. In the absence of information, we often decide what somebody else is thinking and feeling. The absence of information could be a text that you're expecting that never comes, or maybe the person you're with is quieter than usual. And if we don't know why, we come up with reasons why somebody didn't text or isn't talking much. The thing about reading minds is that you're wrong. Even if you've been in a relationship with somebody for a long time, you're still not psychic. And it actually creates 3 people in the relationship, you, the other person, and the other person you're imagining based on what you think they're thinking. Rehashing the past and rehearsing the future are both ways of thinking that keep you out of the present moment. Rehashing the past is when you continually revisit a previous experience. It might be a painful breakup. It might be something you've done that you really regret. It might be something someone said to you or did to you. What we do when we're rehashing is we keep replaying the incident, imagining doing something different or somehow changing the outcome. This is really different than examining a past experience, deciding what we want to learn from it, and using that information to change what we do going forward. This is a way of living in the past that keeps you out of the present moment. Rehearsing for the future also takes you out of the present moment. This is when you don't just plan for the future, you actually script what's going to happen in the future. So let's say you're going on a first date with somebody new tomorrow night, and you're thinking about some topics that you might want to talk about. You go a step beyond thinking about topics to actually framing the words and practicing the words that you would say when you're talking to them. I used to do this all the time in my car on the way to talk to somebody. I would rehearse what I would say. What happens is that when you're actually in the conversation, you're listening for where you can insert that script instead of being fully present in the conversation, paying attention to what the other person is saying, and responding spontaneously and authentically in the moment. The fifth kind of overthinking is overriding yourself. We do this all the time. I certainly do. An example of this is, let's say you're on the date that you were preparing for, and the person across the table from you says something that strikes you the wrong way. Let's say they were really critical about an ex-partner of theirs and really, really didn't hesitate to share exactly what they didn't like about that person. And that hits you the wrong way. It would hit me the wrong way, and maybe it hits you the wrong way too. But there are other things about this person that are attractive to you. So you say to yourself, well, maybe that doesn't really matter. That's them. That's not me. There are a zillion tiny examples about it as you move through your day. And that is a kind of overthinking. It's a way of overriding what you already know. The last kind of overthinking is what ifing, and that's catastrophizing, assuming the worst. Assuming even though things are going well in your relationship, it's only a matter of time till it falls apart. I had a client who every time her partner got upset, she assumed their relationship was ending. So he could get a little upset about maybe they got the wrong order from DoorDash, and she assumed that she needed that was the end of their relationship. So it was really problematic for her. Sorry about the dog. So how you turn down the volume on the noise of your head is first by becoming aware of all the ways that you overthink. As you learn how to become aware, you can detect overthinking earlier when it's easier to stop. The way you stop it, the way I to people to stop it, is something that I've done for 20 plus years. It works really well every time. And that is to memorize a passage of text, could be a poem, a prayer, a psalm, just a text passage that reminds you that peace and calm and clarity are available, that you don't have to know all the answers, that uncertainty is part of human life, that normalizes what you're feeling. And once you've memorized it, you recite it to yourself whenever you notice a kind of repeating thought pattern that you don't want to be experiencing. Whatever you memorize should not be the opposite of the thought that you struggle with. That's what affirmations are. So if your core belief about yourself is I'm not enough, your affirmation might be I am enough. The problem with affirmations is they subconsciously reinforce the belief that you don't want to have. Every time you say I'm enough, some part of you is really aware that you actually don't feel like enough. That's why if you memorize and recite something, you're just gently redirecting your mind in a more pleasant way, as opposed to actually arguing with the content of your overthinking. There are a couple other things that work pretty well. Gentle movement. If you're not really entrenched in rumination, gentle movement can help to stop overthinking. Anything that gets you in your body. I don't mean exercising to the point of exhaustion. I just like putting on your shoes and going out for a 10-minute walk. Just that kind of rhythmic movement will help turn down the volume in your head. And the last thing is to call or talk to someone. Overthinking likes to have you all to yourself. All to itself. You are trapped in your own head when you're overthinking. And when you speak with someone else, it doesn't have to be about what's going on in your head, but just the act of speaking with someone else takes you out of your own head to a certain extent. It can be incredibly helpful just to pick up the phone. The noise, the other kind of noise that keeps you from knowing what's true for you is in your body. It feels like tension or agitation, anxiety or restlessness, or even irritability. There are some pretty great ways to turn down the volume fairly quickly. Again, gentle movement is a good one. Walking, dancing to a favorite piece of music, or even stretching in a mindful way, noticing how it feels in your back or legs or upper body when you stretch intentionally. Breathing is a great way to regulate your nervous system. The important thing about whatever breath work you do is that you want your exhale to be at least as long, if not longer, than your inhalation. So box breathing is one way of breathing that works really well. You inhale for a count of 4, hold it for a count of 4, exhale for a count of 4, and hold the exhale for a count of 4. You can also shift those numbers around. So I will often do 4-7-8 breathing, which is inhale for a count of 4, then exhale for a count of 7 and hold it for a count of 8, or inhale for 4 and exhale for 8. Breath work generally works fairly quickly. You'll notice a difference in how you feel within a few minutes for both breathing and gentle movement. All of these work pretty quickly now that I'm looking at them. Nature is another great way of regulating your nervous system, and you don't even have to be out in it. There's really good research evidence that watching nature videos is just as good as getting out in the forest. There are several sites that compile nature videos so that you can watch baby birds, or you can watch fish under the sea, or you can watch, a trail cam in a forest and see coyotes going by. Whatever floats your boat, you can find a nature video that includes it. The next 3, singing or humming, cold exposure, and tragus massage, all address your vagus nerve. Your vagus nerve is the largest and longest nerve in your body. It runs from just in front of your ears all the way down through all your internal organs. It is also the primary nerve in the part of your nervous system that promotes a relaxation response. So you have 2 parts to your nervous system. One part promotes a fight or flight response, and the other promotes a relaxation response. And the vagus nerve is foundational in the relaxation side of your nervous system. It runs from just in front of your ears all the way down, including down your throat. So singing or humming can stimulate your vagus nerve, in addition to the fact that it changes your breath pattern. So singing or humming can be a really great way to find calm when you're feeling agitated or anxious. Cold exposure also stimulates your vagus nerve. We have a really primitive reflex that when our face touches cold water, our heart rate slows. And that is to decrease our oxygen consumption, because our brain interprets cold water on our face as being underwater. So you don't have to get underwater, just splashing cold water on your face can help. You can also put a cold beverage can on the back of your neck or drink ice water. That will also stimulate your vagus nerve. Other kinds of cold exposure that are great are ending your shower with a cold rinse, which I thought I would never in a million years do, because I am a warm sun lover, but I actually do end all my showers with 45 seconds or so of really cold water. This is one that you can't judge by how it feels in the moment. You judge by how you feel afterward. You can also do cold exposure by getting in an ice bath or a cold body of water. I happen to live somewhere where there are creeks cold that are cool year round, cold in the winter and cool year round. If I'm feeling really in my head and dysregulated, I'll go get in the creek for a minute or two and everything settles. It's pretty amazing how well it works. Tragus massage is a great technique you can do anywhere. Your tragus is the little piece of cartilage that's right in front of your ear canal. It's a little circle right next to that ear on the slide. If you massage it, you're actually activating your vagus nerve. If you pay attention to what's going on in your body, you can feel your body start to relax pretty quickly. You can massage your tragus anytime, anywhere, for a minute or two and enjoy the benefits of that. I've included sleep, diet, and water because they can affect your nervous system too. Obviously, poor sleep leaves you with less resilience and more likely to respond in an exaggerated way to whatever you're experiencing. Diet is important too, making sure that your caffeine intake and the amount of sugar and processed foods that you're eating is reasonable, can help with your nervous system regulation. And water, often if you are feeling fatigued, it's because you're a little bit dehydrated. So sometimes what you don't need is a nap. What you need is a glass of water. And you can feel much more alert and tuned into what's going on. So the second step in the art of relationships is to tune into your inner knowing so you can finally hear what's underneath all the noise. There are two ways that you'll do that. One is to learn your body's language of feelings. Feelings aren't facts. They aren't instructions that you need to do something, or they're not even an accurate response to reality sometimes. But they are something that your body knows without having words for it. The problem with feelings is that most of us never learned what to do with them. Very early on, we learned that our feelings were inconvenient or inappropriate or upsetting to other people. So we learned to manage our feelings, which is to keep them under tight control, or to suppress or ignore them altogether. The only thing that you need to do with your feelings, you don't really even need to name them or know what they are. You just need to pay attention to the physical sensations. That's the only thing you need to do with your feelings. If you don't pay attention to the physical sensations of your feelings, they stay stuck in your body and often come out later in really exaggerated or inappropriate ways. I teach an emotional inquiry process that takes about 10 minutes. It focuses exclusively on the physical sensations that accompany your feelings without analyzing them, without wondering where they came from or what they mean. It is all about just feeling what's there for you to feel. I will guarantee you that however painful you think it might be to feel your feelings, the actual experience of sitting with those feelings is never as painful as you imagine it might be. The other inner knowing that you'll tune into is your intuition. You will unleash it even if you're sure you do not have any intuition. Intuition is a universal human quality. It's not mystical. You don't need like gurus and incense and all that kind of stuff. Intuition is just your body and subconscious mind processing information faster than your conscious mind can. The diagram on the right, it's a good representation of what intuition is. So the first arrow on top points to the symbol of an eye, and you'll often see an eye when people are talking about intuition. And all the eye means is that your awareness is directed inward. Intuition provides you with your true north. In combination with the information that your mind knows, your intuition always directs you to the next right step for you. The arrow on the bottom on the right side that says external data, your intuition pays attention to external data in a way that your conscious mind may not. That's why it is easy to override your intuition when your head is really busy, but your intuition holds the key to creating the kind of relationship that you want. The bottom label on the left, intuition always happens in the context of ongoing subconscious activity. Estimates are that 90 to 95% of what your mind does happens below the level of your conscious awareness. So your intuition is not super unusual and, extra like ESP. It is just becoming aware of how your subconscious mind and body are speaking to you. There are three types of intuition. There's head intuition, and they show up differently. Their head intuition is a sudden insight or the solution to a problem that arrives suddenly and is often surprising. You might have had the experience of you know them well, but you're speaking about them to someone else and you cannot remember that person's name, and move on in the conversation, and 2 minutes later you have the person's name. My strongest experience of head intuition was sitting at my desk one day, and I had turned away from my computer monitor to look out the window and rest my eyes, and all of a sudden I heard in my head, "Go skydiving." It felt like an alien injected the idea into my brain, but it was like clear as day. Skydiving had never been on my radar and at any point in my life. I didn't even know that people did it recreationally. It was terrifying because I'm scared of heights. So there was no way I was going to do it. It took me a year to make my first tandem jump. And the only reason I did it was because it had become clear over the year that that was the only way I was going to make that voice in my head shut up. So I went. And it turned out to be more fun than I'd ever had in my life. I went on to get my license and have about 1,300 jumps in my logbook. And it's also where I met my partner. So I'm a big fan of paying attention to the random ideas that occur to you. You can often recognize head intuition by when you notice that you just said a hard internal no to something, like I did with the go skydiving idea. It was a hard no instantly for me. What I've learned over time is that the things that I just rejected are often the things that are really worthy of my attention. Hard intuition is primarily relational. It's how you feel into the space with someone else, that you have with someone else. You can feel how much energy there is in it. You can feel whether there's a spark and a connection or no spark, no connection. It is the primary intuition in relationships. Gut instinct is the kind of instinct that tells you not to go down an alley or to take a left turn instead of a right turn. So those are the three types of intuition. In the art of relationships, you'll get to experience all of them. The third step in the art of relationships is to rebuild self-trust. I initially called this trusting yourself, but the truth is you were born trusting yourself. You just learned that what you wanted, what you knew was wrong or inconvenient or didn't make a difference. It isn't that you have never trusted yourself. It's that you were taught that trusting yourself was dangerous. What we do is experiment with listening to your intuition instead of defaulting automatically to your head. And we do that by starting in very low stakes way, because intuition is like a muscle. The more you use it for low stakes situations, the more reps you do with low weights, the stronger it gets. And then it becomes available for you in really high stakes situations, deciding whether or not a relationship is right, deciding whether or not when's the right time to sleep with someone, deciding whether or not it's someone you actually want to marry. At the end of 8 weeks of the Art of Relationships, you will feel calm, clear, and confident, and know the next right step for you in terms of relationships. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found this valuable.